very transparent from the beginning. Any other questions?
Not on the budget.
And you can bring up discussion items now. Go ahead, hold on. Hey, let me make sure she's done. Do you want to bring something else up?
Yes, but does somebody else have something?
No, go ahead. You finish and then.
Okay. I met with Don Januso on July 13th, and I asked him why Candie, our stenographer, is no longer being used after many, many years. And his reply was, what did you say to me, Don? What was your reply to me when I asked you why Candie is not our stenographer anymore?
I'm gonna ask that you not address this in a public setting because, yes, you can't, Darlene, moving on. We're not addressing this. This is personnel and personal issues. If you want to discuss it with the board members.
She's contract labor.
We're not gonna get into discussing.
You want to go
this
into
in public.
executive session then?
If you want to, we can do it later. That's fine. Moving on. Next point.
That's my main point right now.
Okay.
Is why Candie is not our stenographer anymore and was relieved from the zoning hearing board.
So I can't answer why she was relieved from the zoning hearing board. So moving on. Go ahead. Frank.
Okay. Yeah, I had a question, and maybe we need to investigate this. Okay, Huffnagel Excavating was hired by Pan American Water to replace main water lines in Muse on Sycamore Street and Beach Street. And I believe they completed their main line work in around March. They've left town. So all the residents in Muse are asking, because I know they have to come back and do service tie-ins every household, which probably maybe 100 houses. And I've been told on a good day, probably you would do 3 or 4 tie-ins. I don't know if anybody has information, Bill, if you know anything about Huffnagel. I've been told also today that a lot of times Pennsylvania American Water will contract out a main water line, then hire a separate contractor to come in and do the service tie-ins to everybody's house. So I think we need to investigate this and find out what's going to happen here, because after the tie-ins are done, and then they're proposed to mill and pave the streets, and I think we're going to start to get too late into the paving season, and then to have the ditch lines to deal with them over the winter through salting and that. So and if we can reach out to Pan American Water to find out what's actually happening in Muse here.
I'll have Renato reach out to them.
Sycamore and Beach Street. They got new main water lines put in February and March. The work wrapped up.
Yeah, they still have service connections to do up there. So.
And well, the main line comes out onto Muse Bishop Road in front of Holy Rosary Church. Muse, we get a lot of complaints from people traveling Muse Bishop Road. They're hitting the pipe trench. You know, they're hitting that dip. So if we can just reach out and get some answers to find out what's going to happen.
We'll do that. We'll get an updated schedule for that.
Thanks, Bill. On another issue, I was down the park last Sunday after the storm, taking some pictures of the damage in that down here. And I witnessed firsthand, there was an elderly gentleman walking his dog on the walking paths around the park with a baby in a stroller. He was an elderly gentleman and had a pit bull on maybe a 15-foot leash. And there was a jogger coming the opposite direction by the Miners Pavilion. And the dog got a little aggressive and come after the jogger. I know we have plenty of signs posted in this park. There are no dogs allowed in this park unless you're walking from the parking lot up to Montour Trail to walk on the trail. Somehow, I mean, one accident's going to be too many if a child gets bitten. I've got complaints from people to come here in the morning and walk, and people just let their dogs loose to run through the park. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, there's plenty of signs posted. Yeah. If we could impose a fine, put a fine below that, a $100 fine or something, I don't want to do that, but if this continues to happen, I mean, we would have to put something with the, no dogs allowed. And one more last final item. We made a lot of improvements to the park. It's looking great. The concession stands, the parking lot. And if we had time, it would be nice before the fall festival if we could do something with our stage. It's getting a little worn and, aged. If we can do something with.
I leaned on our amazing, wonderful Director of Public Works and his even better staff to try to get that to work out.
Yeah. Credit goes to the guys. Our Public Works crew
blessed with them guys.
We are very blessed to have the guys up there.
Yep.
All the credit goes to them.
So we're hopefully, I had a conversation with Bill prior to this, I think I told you, but just so you know, they're finishing up the concession stand in the next couple weeks. And they're gonna take a look at the stage and try to get us a scope of work to see what can be done.
And we've looked at the stage, and there's a possibility of maybe sanding the existing wood to a level surface and recoating it, but the big thing, it probably needs a coat of paint also, you know, so it's not in bad shape, but it needs some attention.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. And thanks to our awesome public works guys. Go ahead.
I don't know, this question's for Joe or Dan. What's the update on DePauli Road?
The update on DePauli Road is that we have the plan together. We have agreements to get a couple easements that we have to get to improve the site distance. And we're essentially ready to go. We have presented the information to Range Resources. They have agreed to fund a portion of the work. They had originally agreed to pave the road. The project's morphed into something bigger than it is. So we're in the midst of trying to get those last issues buttoned up and then figure out how we're gonna get it built.
My main concern is, did you talk to, did Lenny Desmond sign the papers?
We just need a wee little corner of Desmond, just a wee
But
little
he has
corner.
passed away.
I talked to his son. John Kosky put me in touch with his son.
Okay,
So we can,
he can sign, because he told me it had to go back to the estate now.
I'm not aware of that, but I'll make a call tomorrow
Yeah.
on that.
Let's see if we can get this done before winter if we can.
The only concern I have, Frank, is, Ron, that right now, my experience with contractors, and Frank can speak to this probably better than anybody, is contractors are super short-staffed and they have too much work on their books. So if you go out to bid right now, it would cost a lot more to do it. Now, Range is willing to pay money. I think they want the township to put it out to bid. They don't want to be involved in the actual building of it. So I would maybe recommend considering it a budget time to put out the bid next year, even with your road
Plus-
program, if you're going to do anything to get the base, get some more savings by making it a little bit bigger.
Plus, we have a call into Range to see what the amount of money is that they're willing to contribute. Because we have to narrow that down too before we can put it out, because we have to understand how much the township has to put in as far as the work.
Well, but we have to do something with that big hole, Bill. You know what I mean? One lady went up to bed, and I know she was off the road, but she ran in that.
Can we do something temporarily until it goes out?
Sort of putting inlets in there and doing a portion of the work that's supposed to be addressed in the contract, you know. There's that area right there calls for, in the proposed design, 2 inlets with a new lateral crossing. So, I mean,
Let me see, I have a call in.
Should we do it?
we could if I had another crew. I don't have enough guys to do everything we've got going on right now. So, I mean, those guys are, and we still haven't gotten to our paving, in-house paving yet this year. So
We're busy.
we're spread thin right now.
Give us another month, we'll have more definitive answers. I have some calls out to some
Do
people.
that work. I mean, it's not, well, you know, it's, Mark's crew is very capable of doing that work. We've been doing it all over the town.
Could we do it in the fall?
Huh?
Could we do it in the fall?
Yeah, it's just a matter of where, you know, when we find some room in our schedule to get it, you know, so, yeah.
This gentleman's been coming here for months and months, waiting for us to get that road done.
He just likes hanging out with us the first Monday of every month. Yeah. Give us some time. Give us some time. We have a call out to Range to get a more definitive answer. Bill's gonna see if he has room in our schedule, and we're gonna get a definitive answer in September, whether we can work on it in the fall and get something done, or whether we have to make a temporary fix through the winter and then bid it out in the spring. I will, you have my word that we'll have an answer one way or the other in September. No, we'd have to make some sort of temporary fix.
Bill, how many total inlets are there on the job?
2. Well,
4?
2 in that location and 2 down below.
A
On the other
total
side
of
of the
4.
trestle. There's 4 total. Yeah. And a couple of end walls, DW type end walls.
Well, I mean, if you did get a break somehow, you have the men that can do it.
God bless you. Sorry, he sneezed, I said God bless you. Sorry, okay. Any other items?
Yeah, I want to thank the road department. They did a great job during the storm. And I also want to thank Parks and Rec Board. They had a pretty nice turnout for our first time having the community days. Be nice if we get more people show up next time.
Yeah. I apologize for missing it, I was out of town.
That Parks and Rec Board, whenever they put up the majority of the people were over by where they have the water, for the water sports. They weren't over into where they had the cornhole, tournament or the stage, even though they paid for a band. The majority of the people were over on the other side where they had water with hoses and everything. And I feel that the concession stand could have made a whole lot more money if they could more or less consolidate that. And I don't know if they have water.
That's probably something you want
available.
to address at the Parks and Rec Board meeting. We didn't plan it, we didn't have any, I would say control, that's the wrong word,
No,
but we didn't have any input on it.
It was a nice affair for the kids over there. But like I said, I thought that if they could move the water slide and everything, the dunk tank inside the park itself. I don't know if you have the water facility there.
But Bill doesn't run,
Water in the concession stand, there's a
Yeah.
stick in there.
yeah, and Bill doesn't
But
run the
is that
Parks and Rec
enough
Board.
pressure to go in, like if they want to throw the slip and slide and then they had the.
Darlene,
dunk-
with all due respect, I'm sure these are all great suggestions, but not for our township board meeting. This is something that can definitely be addressed at the Parks and Rec Board, but in an effort to keep this moving along, we'll bring those suggestions up to the Parks and Rec Board.
I want to thank Jack. You were the glue that held it together.
You are what?
He was the glue that held the whole thing together.
Good job, Jack.
I think he lost about 20 pounds sweating that day.
Running back and forth. All right, any other items?
Yeah, one other thing is,
Go ahead.
We're gonna set a date for that work session?
Yeah, I was gonna do that, but I was waiting for everybody.
one other thing is, I don't know if you've noticed where the side of the road up there on Klinger, when you go past up at the top of the hill, you have to go over into when you're going around that bend, you just about have to go over into the left-hand side in order to miss the crumbling edge of the road.
Yeah.
There. And believe it or not, I seen a truck. Is there a weight limit on our township
There's
roads?
not.
There's not.
I think it's a combination of the McConnell project and there's been very little work hauled off of that site up there where we're out on Klinger Road.
I
don't
didn't think it
it's
was
all
coming
the
from there. I
time.
thought it was the other trucks that are going
Yeah.
because
There's a lot of truck traffic on Klinger Road that comes off the interstate and uses that as a shortcut over.
and Stranicious had one of those extended bodies on a tractor, was full of rocks.
Dump
And
trailers.
yeah, it was coming, and if they go off the side of the road, you might as well kiss the berm of the road
Yeah, well,
goodbye.
that's why the edge of the road's broken up a little bit because of
Yes.
the weight, so. But
And
that's not
that
weight
is one of the most dangerous places, and school's
It's
gonna be
not weight
starting.
restricted, so.
School's gonna be starting, and if they're gonna have to move the school buses over in the middle of that turn to make that turn, it could be very dangerous.
Sorry. We need